Transnet bosses are back at the Palm Ridge Specialized Commercial Crimes Court. They appeared earlier there, including CEO Brian Molefe, CFO Anoj Singh. They are implicated in a dodgy advisory tender and face charges linked to more than 90 million rand paid to Trillion Asset Management in 2015. eNCA reporter Silindelo Masikane is joining us now on Today with an update. Good afternoon, Silindelo. Tell us, what happened in court?
A very brief appearance for the accused in the Palm Ridge Specialized Commercial Crimes Court, Brodan, where we saw Brian Molefe, Siyabonga Gama, Anoj Singh, as well as several others accused of fraud and corruption, making their way back after they were granted bail back in August. We know that Molefe and some of his co-accused were granted bail to the amount of around 50,000 rand. But what we saw today was then the state telling the magistrate that unfortunately they were going to need more time in order to be able to disclose the contents of the docket to the defense attorneys. We had about at least 8 or 9 defense lawyers in court today representing the accused, and what we know is that the volume of the docket is so large that it needs to be uploaded onto hard drives, and so the state prosecutor telling the magistrates that those hard drives have been requested from the defense to then supply it to the investigating officer, but that some of the lawyers had actually begun receiving the contents of the docket. It's just that it's going to require more time. But then, of course, the defense taking issue with this, some of the lawyers objecting to the postponement that was requested by the state, saying that the state is basically dragging its feet on this matter, that they have not finalized investigations, and that in fact their clients' constitutional rights are being infringed upon in terms of the right to a speedy trial. And so the lawyers then put it on record that they wanted the court to note the delays caused by the state, also citing the fact that the indictment in the matter in fact has not even been signed and is still in a draft format, saying that in fact there was no indictment before the court. Let's just take a listen to the lawyer for accused number 1 in this matter.
In my respectful opinion, the disclosure we're getting now and the draft, so-called draft indictment, doesn't amount to anything if my learned friend for the state cannot give us the assurance that he has now finalized his investigation in this matter, that the full available case docket which the state will be using during the course of the trial has been made available, and that a signed off indictment by the Director of Public Prosecutions is made available, on which basis one could analyze the evidence and, for instance, decide on whether further particulars would be requested. Now, to go through that exercise with this amount of evidence which the state makes available on a draft indictment not signed off, so there isn't formal authorization of the NDPP or the DPP for the matter to be transferred from this court to the High Court. So to go through an exercise like that is really a waste of time and money. Firstly, my argument therefore is that once again we have to do here with something staged and dished up by the state for public consumption, saying they are ready, saying that there is an indictment, like they said to one Jessica Besaidenout of the Daily Maverick, whereas there in fact is no authorized indictment. So my learned friend for the state did not deliver as he promised he would. So I submit that the court, should the court grant a postponement in spite of my learned friend's failure to comply what he undertook to do, that the court should then direct that we be supplied by a certain date, because now we're talking the 30th of November for the next appearance. But if he only supplies us with an authorized indictment by the 30th of November, it would mean that we would not have had the opportunity, like this morning, when we received it by email just after daybreak.
So, Slee, what about the state? What are they saying about their case?
Well, according to the investigative directorate, they believe they have a strong case against the accused and that they do have a case to answer to, saying that the arguments brought forward by the defense attorneys with regards to what they believe to be delays in the matter are just simply not true, and that in fact they have been trying to expedite this matter quite quickly. Let's take a listen to the spokesperson for the directorate.
So we've made commitments at the last appearance to ensure that we provide the accused with a charge sheet, and that's exactly what we've done. We've complied with that commitment to court. Secondly, we also told court at the last sitting that we'll be able to then disclose the contents of the docket. You would have heard that some of the defense attorneys and advocates were basically frank and mentioned that we have actually, the investigating officer had reached out to them well in advance in anticipation of this particular appearance to ask them to provide hard drives in order to be able to furnish them with the contents of the docket, because we had stipulated that it is quite voluminous. So that is what we've done, and we shall continue to make sure that they get the contents of the docket. The court has told the attorneys and advocates that they need to provide us with the hard drives in order to expedite that particular matter.
Thank you very much, Silindelo Masikane, for that update about what happened in court in the matter of those former Transnet executives now accused of multi-million rand corruption.